Welcome to WorkSpan TV. I'm Ryan Johnson. I'm joined in the studio today by 20-year WorldatWork faculty member, Steve Brink. Steve, we're going to talk about global mobility. Steve is also the president and CEO of AIRINC. Welcome.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Steve, tell us about the trends that you're seeing in terms of expatriate compensation, global mobility. What is happening in this dynamic space?
It is a dynamic space, and there's really two areas, I would say, that really are driving some of the trends. One trend is what we call value alignment. What I mean by that in terms of there's different types of global mobility is not the same for everybody. There are different types of assignment. In the past, prior to the recession that we recently have, or still in, as some people would say, is that people would say an expat assignment is an expat assignment is an expat assignment. One size fits all. Now, through the recession, there's different types of assignment. The assignment might be a knowledge transfer, or it might be a technical need, or it might be a career development opportunity. These have different values for the organization as well as for the actual individual. And so what we're seeing is more companies are tiering or diversifying their expatriate policies to account for those, to align the value received with the actual cost, because the global mobility is a very expensive proposition. The second area on that, which I think is is tangential to it, is actually around talent management and the linkage to talent management. We're seeing more and more, just like what we saw during the 1970s, where we saw finance bifurcate into two different areas, a financial controller and the chief financial officer. And you had those one, the CFO being very strategic, and the financial controller doing the operations element of it. Just like we've seen now in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, we saw that happen in different areas of HR, where now we're seeing the people strategist role and others in more operational or vendor management type of roles. And we're seeing that now finally in global mobility. More companies are taking the strategic area of of global mobility and tying it to talent management. So you can get the right person, the right talent, in the right place at the right time. And that's what global mobility is about, as well as the other side of the operational elements, the tax compliance and all the other difficulty and challenging things about global mobility. That's being handled by the operational unit. But that's a trend that we're also seeing in global mobility.
So obviously this is a question of total rewards. I mean, this total rewards concept really covers everything in the global mobility package or offering that you have to get someone to relocate and then to bring them back home. Is that correct?
It's an interesting point. One of the things that we always talk about in global mobility, well, where does it fit into the total rewards conversation? And it's like, well, it's almost in everywhere. It's the one place where it covers all of them. You have the compensation element in terms of local comp or the comp payment and the like in terms of are you paying them locally, are you changing them up? You got the benefits part, the international benefits, which is a different element versus local benefits. You got the career development area in terms of how these people are moving through the organization. You have succession planning. We have now CEOs saying the succession line is that the next CEO needs to be living in multiple regions before they will become our CEO, our next CEO. So in terms of succession planning element, then you have the whole work experience and the work-life balance being a part of that. Is sending somebody with a family and the like. It's a very uprooting of a family environment, moving to another location. So in regards, global mobility is really throughout the total reward structure.
Well, Steve, I want to thank you. You've been a fixture around WorldatWork for 20 years. You've been at our conference many times, and it's great to have you and see you here in the studio and talk about the state of global mobility around the world, and I hope we can have you back soon.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Steve. For WorldatWork and WorkSpan TV, I'm Ryan Johnson.